me a red rose, she cried, and I will sing you my sweetest song. But the tree shook its head. My roses are white, it answered, as white as the foam of the sea, and whiter than the snow upon the mountain. But go to my brother who grows round the old sundial, and perhaps he will give you what you want. So the nightingale flew over to the rose tree that was growing round the old sundial. Give me a red rose, she cried, and I will sing you my sweetest song. But the tree shook its head. My roses are yellow, it answered, as yellow as the hair of the mermaiden who sits upon an amber throne, and yellower than the daffodil that blooms in the meadow before the mower comes with his scythe. But go to my brother who grows beneath the student's window. Perhaps he will give you what you want. So the nightingale flew over to the rose tree that was growing beneath the student's window. Give me a red rose, she cried, and I will sing you my sweetest song. But the tree shook its head. My roses are red, it answered, as red as the feet of the dove, and redder than the great fans of coral that wave and wave in the ocean cavern. But the winter has chilled my veins, and the frost has nipped my buds, and the storm has broken my branches, and I shall have no roses at all this year. One red rose is all I want, cried the nightingale. Only one red rose. Is there no way by which I can get it? There is a way, answered the tree, but it is so terrible that I dare not tell it to you. Tell it to me, said the nightingale. I am not afraid. If you want a red rose, said the tree, you must build it out of music by moonlight, and stain it with your own heart's blood. You must sing to me with your breast against a thorn. All night long you must sing to me, and the thorn must pierce your heart, and your lifeblood must flow into my veins and become mine. Death is a great price to pay for a red rose, cried the nightingale, and life is very dear to all. It is pleasant to sit in the green wood, and to watch the sun in his chariot of gold, and the moon in her chariot of purple. Sweet is the scent of the hawthorn, and sweet are the bluebells that hide in the valley, and the heather that flows on the hill. Yet love is better than life, and what is the heart of a bird compared to the heart of a man? So she spread her brown wings for flight and soared into the air. She swept over the garden like a shadow, and like a shadow she sailed through the grove.
Okay, so up to this point now, what have you learned from the progress of the story? What events are taking place and how are they related to each other?
So there is a hard task before Nightingale. The tree said to Nightingale that if you want to have a red rose, then you have to done a particular hard task. That is, all the night you have to sing with your blood and from bottom of heart. Then only I will give you red rose.
Okay, fine. And what reason is told by that red rose for that particular task? Why is that red rose asking so hard thing from the nightingale? I mean, in other words, the rose is expecting life from the nightingale itself. So why is it so?
Due to
Uh,
environmental problems,
Okay, because it has said that because of frost, frost is what we can say a very extreme cold. Okay, and you know if there is extreme cold, there couldn't be vegetations or trees and vegetables cannot survive. So during that frost, it has lost its capacity to grow roses because of a storm. Also, it has cut loose of its branches, and therefore it says that because of these problems, it cannot grow roses throughout the year, and therefore on or rather you can say upon emphasizing on producing the red rose, then only the red rose says that it could be done by giving it the lifeblood of the nightingale, and not only the giving lifeblood would work there, but she also has to has to sing throughout the night in order to produce that red rose. Okay, now she, how did she accept this pact? Okay, or uh, what is the response of this nightingale on knowing that there is this kind of life taking condition of the red rose? What is her reaction? काय रिॲक्शन दिसते याच्यामधून? how how does she huh?
First of all, she said that death is a great price to pay for a red rose, but later on, she said that love is better than life. So she was ready to sacrifice her life for that boy.
Okay, very good. Okay, so she says that love is greater than life, and therefore, for love, she is going to sacrifice that. Also, that she has said something after that. She says that what is the price of the heart of a bird in front of the price of a man? That is, she valued his heart. I mean, the boy's heart more than her own life, and that suggests that she was in a deep love with that particular boy. Okay, remember, in this story, entire अंडरस्टँडिंग ऑफ लव्ह इटसेल्फ इज क्वेश्चन. या स्टोरीमधलं सगळ्यात महत्त्वाचा जो एक भाग आहे तो असा आहे की मुळात प्रेम नावाची काही गोष्ट असतच नाही असं रायटरला म्हणायचं, किंवा त्या बॉयला बॉय थ्रू रायटर बोलतोय. ओके, अँड हिअर वी हॅव सीन द topmost sacrifice that one particular person can give for that particular idea of love. Okay, so that is it. Okay, you would find there are too many contrasting things in this story. एकमेकाच्या विरोधात असणाऱ्या गोष्टीच तुम्हाला दिसतील. एका बाजूला तो बॉय आहे, तो अशा पद्धतीने वागतो, अजून तुम्ही जे बघितलं नाही की ती मुलगी कशी वागते, त्या सगळे एकमेकाच्या विरोधात आहेत. ओके, नथिंग गोज इन कन्सिस्टन्सी विथ इच अदर, and therefore at the end there is a question whether we can accept what the boy think, or whether we accept the behavior of the nightingale, or whether we accept the behavior of that particular girl. It is up to the readers to decide that. Anyway, fine, up to this point we have learned that the nightingale is desperate to help the boy to find out the red rose. She for the first time visits the white rose, then the yellow rose, and after yellow rose suggesting her to go go to the plant that is growing beneath the window of the boy's room, she goes there, and then it is in a very withered condition, and therefore she asked to produce it a red rose. It says that it cannot produce a red rose because it is withered right now. Branches are withered. There is no light because of the weather conditions, and therefore it cannot produce. But upon emphasizing, if there is any way, the red rose suggests that the nightingale should sit against the thorn of the rose. Thorn, thorn kata. That she should take that thorn to her heart and pierce it through her heart, and at the same time the nightingale should sing her sweetest songs loudly. Okay, if she does this throughout the night, by the dawn the rose will start blooming, and in this way the rose would be produced at the cost of lifeblood of the nightingale. Even after knowing this, that she would pay a price of her life for that red rose, she has accepted the same thing by saying that love is greater than life, and the heart of a bird does not has value as a heart of a man. Therefore, she is ready to sacrifice herself for the boy and his love. And then finally, after being determined, being desperate to have that accept that particular term or condition by that red rose, she is now ready to tell the thing to the boy, and therefore she spread her own brown wings for flight and soared into air, and swept over the garden like a shadow, and like a shadow she sailed through the grove. She is back to the boy. Now here is very interesting thing that happens with the boy and the nightingale. Just read and understand now. Again, here you will find differences between the attitude. Remember, whenever you read a short story, whatever characters you have to understand that story and the characters by similarity and differences. So you have to mark differences between the attitude. How do they think for each other? Okay, let's read and understand.
The young student was still lying on the grass where she had left him, and the tears were not yet dry in his beautiful eyes. "Be happy," cried the nightingale. "Be happy. You shall have your red rose. I will build it out of music by moonlight, and stain it with my own heart's blood. All that I ask of you in return is that you will be a true lover, for love is wiser than philosophy, though she is wise, and mightier than power, though he is mighty. Flame-coloured are his wings, and coloured like flame is his body. His lips are sweet as honey, and his breath is like frankincense." The student looked up from the grass and listened, but he could not understand what the nightingale was saying to him, for he only knew the things that are written down in books. But the oak tree understood and felt sad, for he was very fond of the little nightingale who had built her nest in his branches. "Sing me one last song," he whispered. "I shall feel very lonely when you are gone." So the nightingale sang to the oak tree, and her voice was like water bubbling from a silver jar. When she had finished her song, the student got up and pulled a notebook and a lead pencil out of his pocket. "She has form," he said to himself as he walked away through the grove. "That cannot be denied to her. But has she got feeling? I am afraid not. In fact, she is like most artists. She is all style without any sincerity. She would not sacrifice herself for others. She thinks merely of music, and everybody knows that the arts are selfish. Still, it must be admitted that she has some beautiful notes in her voice. What a pity it is that they do not mean anything or do any practical good." And he went into his room and lay down on his little pallet bed and began to think of his love. And after a time he fell asleep.
Okay, now up to this point, you can see the reaction of the boy. Okay, so what happens in the period of time that we have read so far? What events have taken place? Yes, whatever we
The
have.
nightingale,
uh,
the nightingale was asked to sing song for the boy from the boy.
why does she sings right now? See, up to this
It will
point.
be
Huh.
it will be her last time for singing because she knows she is going to die.
No. Any other answer? Why is Nightingale singing, and why is she back to the boy? Okay, after that pact is done, after that dealing with the rose, that is uh, red rose plant is done, she comes back to that boy. Okay, and she tells the truth to the boy that she shouldn't be worried. She would produce a red rose by the morning by giving her own blood. Okay, now look at these words. She has said it clearly to the boy that she is going to give her blood away in order to grow a red rose. Does the boy understand that? He does not. Okay. Ah, he does not understand the same thing. And then after telling all these things, the oak tree on which this nightingale has built her nest, now it understands. Look at the animal world or natural world. Okay, I mean, whatever nightingale is saying, that is understood by the tree but not the boy. And this is how human beings are different from nature. Okay, and therefore that oak tree asks that nightingale that it would be missing that nightingale then after. Okay, he's, I mean, the oak tree itself is very very fond of this nightingale, as she has grown up a nest and she would sing all the night from the branches of that oak tree itself. So oak tree requests her to sing for him at one last time. Remember, she is singing not to entertain the boy, but she is singing in order to entertain the oak tree where she has built her nest. And she sung beautifully. Okay. And then what happens after her song finished? The boy takes up a notebook and a lead pencil and she writes, he writes there. What does he write? He says that her voice is beautiful. She sings beautifully well. It has feelings. I mean, it has notes, but does she have feeling? And in response, he himself considers that she is, or she does not have any kind of feeling, but only she has a style. Okay, remember, he compares her singing with arts, and according to the boy who is a philosopher, he says that all arts lies. Okay, they only have a style and do not have sincerity, and such a kind of song was that the nightingale has sung, because it has style and not a feeling, according to the boy. Okay, now the it is well known fact to us that she is very sincere. And then look at what he says further. He says that can she sacrifice for anybody else, and he in response he himself says that she can't. Okay, look at the irony. Here comes the word irony. What is irony? Dramatic irony is something in which we know something that is going to happen logically correct. Okay, but exactly opposite to that happens in the poem or in the short story, that is known as dramatic irony. Here is an irony. We know the fact that the nightingale is going to sacrifice her life, and therefore sincerely she is crying that out in her song. But unfortunately, the voice says that her voice is beautiful, her notes are beautiful, she sung very nicely. But the problem is that she is not sincere and she cannot give away her life. It is it is his own comment, the boy's his own comment. And then after what he does, he goes to his bed and sleep. Look at it. He has not understood anything of what the nightingale is saying. नाइटिंगेल जे काही म्हणायचं त्याच्यापैकी त्याला काहीही समजत नाही. ओके, अप टू दिस पॉइंट वी हॅव डन. नाउ व्हॉट हॅपन्स इन दॅट नाईट इज व्हेरी व्हेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टू नो फ्रॉम दिस पॉइंट ऑनवर्ड. Is it okay now, whatever we are doing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now listen what happens in that night.
And when the moon shone in the heavens, the nightingale flew to the rose tree and set her breast against the thorn. All night long she sang with her breast against the thorn, and the cold crystal moon leaned down and listened. All night long she sang, and the thorn went deeper and deeper into her breast, and her lifeblood ebbed away from her. She sang first of the birth of love in the heart of a boy and a girl, and on the topmost spray of the rose tree there blossomed a marvelous rose, petal following petal, as song followed song. Pale was it at first, as the mist that hangs over the river, pale as the feet of the morning, and silver as the wings of the dawn, as the shadow of a rose in a mirror of silver, as the shadow of a rose in a water pool, so was the rose that blossomed on the topmost spray of the tree. But the tree cried to the nightingale to press closer against the thorn. Press closer, little nightingale, cried the tree, or the day will come before the rose is finished. So the nightingale pressed closer against the thorn, and louder grew her song, for she sang of the birth of passion in the soul of a man and a maid. And a delicate flush of pink came into the leaves of the rose, like the flush in the face of the bridegroom when he kisses the lips of the bride. But the thorn had not yet reached her heart, so the rose's heart remained white, for only a nightingale's heart's blood can crimson the heart of a rose. And the tree cried to the nightingale to press closer against the thorn. Press closer, little nightingale, cried the tree, or the day will come before the rose is finished. So the nightingale pressed closer against the thorn, and the thorn touched her heart, and a fierce pang of pain shot through her. Bitter, bitter was the pain, and wilder, wilder grew her song, for she sang of the love that is perfected by death, of the love that dies not in the tomb. And the marvellous rose became crimson, like the rose of the eastern sky. Crimson was the girdle of petals, and crimson as a ruby was the heart. But the nightingale's voice grew fainter, and her little wings began to beat, and a film came over her eyes. Fainter and fainter grew her song, and she felt something choking in her throat. Then she gave one last burst of music. The white moon heard it, and she forgot the dawn, and lingered on in the sky. The red rose heard it, and it trembled all over with ecstasy, and opened its petals to the cold morning air. Echo bore it to her purple cavern in the hills, and woke the sleeping shepherds from their dreams. It floated through the reeds of the river, and they carried its message to the sea. Look, look, cried the tree, the rose is finished now. But the nightingale made no answer, for she was lying dead in the long grass, with the thorn in her heart. And at noon the student opened his window and looked out. Why, what a wonder!
Okay, now up to this point, the entire night is described so far. Okay, whatever happened that night is described so far. What kind of events take place in that night? Can you please recall if you have understood from the reading?
The rose plant Nightingale to bring her chest closer to the throne and sing louder and louder so that rose can be produced before dawn.
Hmm?
Mm, and after that, rose was produced, but she was lying, seeing up to the sky, and she was not getting anything because she was fully in pain.
Okay, so in that night, as moon comes into the sky, the nightingale sit against the throne of that particular rose plant, and then she started singing the song. And then after, what happens? She tries to press that thumb closer to her heart, and because of agony, her voice would get louder and louder. At first, there was life in some branches, and then there were some birds that comes, and then there were petals after petals. They started to grow up. Okay, but somewhere in the midnight and after midnight, the rose tree asked the bird to press closer to the heart so that it could give the red rose by the morning itself. Otherwise, it would be morning and the rose would be unfinished. Remember, it would remain a bird. So therefore, as she press it closer to heart, she has agony and pain, and out of that pain her voice would be raised. And that happens twice and thrice. By dawn itself, she got fainted. She cannot understand whatever is happening, but she was crying like anything, and the rose was budding up, blooming up. And finally, when in the breaking of the morning, the rose was complete. When the rose tree asked that nightingale to look at that beautiful rose, she was lying dead there, unconscious there, to watch that beautiful flower. The philosophy that she tells while singing that song is that he says that no love dies in the grave. That is what the quotation, no love dies in the grave. Even after death, love never dies. That is what she, Nightingale, says to that particular flower when she was singing, and she was also narrating how there would be a good love between the boy and the girl. Okay, now remember also she asked one thing from that boy when she tells that boy about her determination about sacrificing. Remember, ती जेव्हा मागच्या वेळेस सॉन्ग म्हणते तेव्हा त्याच्या अगोदर तिने त्या मुलाला काहीतरी विचारलं होतं. काय विचारलं होतं किंवा काय सांगितलं होतं त्याला करायला? शी आस्क्ड द बॉय to become a very good lover. Okay, and she says that love is greater than philosophy, greater than books. So don't only follow the books, follow your heart and then love. It was asked by the Nightingale. Now Nightingale was confirmed that the boy would never understand her feeling, and she wanted that if the boy is fond of that particular girl, at least the boy should follow that particular girl emotionally. Okay, but now something else would happen in later on. Anyhow, the Nightingale had sacrificed her life, and with her sacrifice she has bloomed a wonderful beautiful red rose so far in the story. Okay, now let's read about what happens with that red rose then after. Okay, up to this, is it okay with all people?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
now
sir.
let's start with knowing what happens with that red rose next.
Wonderful piece of luck, he cried. Here is a red rose. I have never seen any rose like it in all my life. It is so beautiful that I am sure it has a long Latin name. And he leaned down and plucked it. Then he put on his hat and ran up to the professor's house with the rose in his hand. The daughter of the professor was sitting in the doorway winding blue silk on a reel,
Excuse,
and her little dog was lying at her feet. You said that you...
Yes.
sir, voice is breaking too much.
Now please check your internet connection because I'm sitting in a very very good internet connection. Huh? If voice is
No,
breaking,
sir.
huh?
Voice is good.
Okay. So please check your internet connection. Voice breaking is a problem with internet connection. Huh? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes.
since we have stopped here, we will be beginning from the same point. Okay. So what happens? He wake up in the morning. The boy wake up in the morning, open the window, and what he could find a beautiful flower that has bloomed in front of his window. So he leans down and plug that rose. Look at his reaction. Okay, wow, what a wonderful piece of luck. What he says, it is a luck, his luck that he could find that particular rose there. But was it really luck? This is the question to be asked. Was it really luck? No, it was not a luck. It was sacrifice of one particular Nightingale. Remember, when we say something that is luck for us, there is always a sacrifice hidden behind that luck. Okay, ज्या गोष्टीला आपण लक म्हणतो त्याच्या मागे कोणाचा तरी सॅक्रिफाईस जरूर झालेला असतो. Okay, no, there is a rule in physics. If you can find a heap of something, there would be also a kind of pit hole somewhere. कारण तुम्ही वस्तू काढतात कुठून तरी तर कुठेतरी टाकतात, कुठेतरी काहीतरी दिसतं म्हणजे कुठेतरी ऑलरेडी ती वस्तू गेलेली आहे. ओके, सो पीस ऑफ लक comes with the sacrifice of that Nightingale. He cried, and then he takes that rose, praises that rose, and goes to the professor's house in order to show that beautiful rose to that girl. Okay, now it is very interesting to know what is the reaction of that particular girl. All attention should be towards the climax now. What happens with that rose? Remember, it is very very important. Huh?
You would dance with me if I brought you a red rose, cried the student. Here is the reddest rose in all the world. You will wear it tonight next to your heart, and as we dance together, it will tell you how I love you. But the girl frowned. I'm afraid it will not go with my dress, she answered. And besides, the Chamberlain's nephew has sent me some real jewels, and everybody knows that jewels cost far more than flowers. Well, upon my word, you are very ungrateful, said the student angrily, and he threw the rose into the street where it fell into the gutter, and a cartwheel went over it. Ungrateful, said the girl. I tell you what, you are very rude, and after all, who are you? Only a student. Why, I don't believe you have even got silver buckles to your shoes as the Chamberlain's nephew has. And she got up from her chair and went into the house.
Okay, so what happened with that beautiful rose that takes the life of that Nightingale? It is very important to know, huh? Whatever happened.
Uh,
Huh?
the rose was thrown by the boy
Okay, but for what?
because when he put that rose for that girl, he rejected that he already received the jewels from another. That is the son of Chamberlain. So
Nephew
he
of
refused
Chamberlain. Huh?
her nephew. So he refused that rose. So the that's why the boy thrown the rose.
Okay, any other thing that you have understood through this?
Sir, that here is a complex of the think love. That means for love, the nightingale sacrificed his own life, and on the another side, the boy just give up his love by the saying one word no. That means he don't try to convince her, or there is he don't do nothing to express his love.
Okay, that is one interpretation. Any other thing? Any other response from anybody else?
So that Chamberlain nephew has given him the jewels. So that's why she has tell that the jewels are more costlier than a flower.
Okay, very good. Okay, let's understand now. Okay, it is not only what is happening that is important here, it is also how do we understand this particular thing that matters here. Okay, what happened? He takes that wonderful flower and goes to that girl. Okay, now he thinks, look at that boy, huh? He thinks that because he has something, something that the girl wanted, so that the girl can be convinced by him to dance with him. After reaching there, he knows that there is nephew of Chamberlain who has sent her jewels, and also that flower cannot go. I mean, it doesn't match with that the dress that the girl would be wearing at that night. Okay, so she rejects that flower. Remember now what is happening here. Okay, first of all, love, the idea of love itself is based on sacrifice and understanding the feelings, okay, not on material things. Remember when we started with the story itself, I said that it is very very ironic, opposite ideas are put together there. Okay, if you are saying love and if the love is dependent on red rose, then it is not love at all, because it is material thing. Red rose itself is a material thing, and there are material things which are more costlier than others always. Okay, आणि जेव्हा फक्त मटेरियल थिंग्सवरच जर आपल्याला कोणाचं लव आणि अफेक्शन डिटर्मिन करायचं असेल, तर प्रत्येक वेळेस एकापेक्षा दुसरी मोठी गोष्ट, एकापेक्षा दुसरी कॉस्टलियर गोष्ट तुम्हाला मिळू शकेल. ओके, सो लुक एट दॅट, ही प्रोड्युसेस अ रोज, बट शी सेज दॅट jewels are more costlier than flowers, so she is giving more important to more materialistic thing now, and therefore she very rudely rejects that boy. And what happens with the boy now? He also throws away that beautiful rose without knowing how was that produced in the gutter, and then their cart field goes over that now. Okay. Further, the girl who is angry with this boy now says that he does not have even a silver buckles like that nephew of that particular, or Chamberlain's nephew has. Look at her idea about love and dance and lifestyle is only materialistic. She represents. Remember, this story is an also allegory. Remember this word allegory. If you have gone through the lecture of uphill, you might have also कम अक्रॉस दिस वर्ड ॲलेगरी. जर तुम्ही अप हिलचा व्हिडिओ बघितला असेल तर त्याच्यात तुम्हाला ॲलेगरी कम्प्लिटली एक्सप्लेन केलेलं आहे. दिस स्टोरी इज अन ऑल्सो ॲलेगरी. देअर आर larger symbols which are introduced in this story. So see, this girl is representative of the people who believe in materialistic pleasures. Okay, they want gifts, they want costlier things in their lives, and love and feelings does not matter in their life. At the other hand, the boy represents the people who study, who knows the philosophy, who are more logical and rational, and they want to have love in their life, but they cannot understand because they understand language of the book only. Okay, and they are too rational to understand the love. And there is a nightingale, a, a class of the people represented by that nightingale who are emotional, who want real love, and they can sacrifice their lives for having the particular feeling. So these are the three class representatives, you can say. There are the three classes of the people. Okay, remember, when we read about how to read a short story, we say that we need to understand whether the characters are merely individuals or do they represent a particular class or category of the people. Yes, here are the class and category of the people. The girl is one who believes in materialistic pleasure, the boy is one who wants love, but at the same time who is very very cynic, skeptic. Cynic is that one who doubts the motivations of every person. ओके, अशी लोक ज्यांना असं वाटतं की काय सगळ्या मटेरियल गोष्टींवर सगळं डिपेंड असतं, लव्ह व्यू अशा काही गोष्टी नसतात, देर आर नो इमोशन्स, असे मानणारी माणसं जे असतात दे आर कॉल्ड एज सिनिक. दे डाऊट एव्हरीथिंग. म्हणजे एखादा माणूस तुमच्यासाठी खूप जास्त प्रयत्न करतो, त्याला पहिली गोष्ट त्या सिनिक माणसाच्या डोक्यात येईल याचा काहीतरी स्वार्थ असला पाहिजे, त्याच्याशिवाय करत नाही. सो वन हू बिलीव्स दॅट एव्हरी पर्सन बिहेव्स इन पर्टिक्युलर वे इन ऑर्डर टू सॅटिस्फाय his or her own selfishness. Okay, so this kind of cynicism is represented by this boy. And at the other hand, there is Nightingale, who is a common person who believes in relationship, who believes in emotions, who believes in feelings. Okay, so what happens now? The boy goes to the girl, I mean a cynic person goes to a girl, and she rejects the cynic person because of material things. Now cynic person, what would he has on his mind? Of course the doubts, and he has doubted then the love idea of love itself. Okay, so are you understanding this? Whatever happened, it is not only that the girl rejects the boy, and the boy had admitted that she has rejected it. Okay, remember, it is a class of the people, and therefore it is an allegory. Okay, fine. Up to this, is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now
Yes, sir.
we are at the conclusion. See, this is the climax. This is the climax. Whatever would have happened, that has happened. Any story, if you remember that elements of short story and that pyramid like diagram, there were five elements. Okay, exposition, initial action, rising action, climax. All these are four. And
Sir, excuse me.
uh,
Sir, we have lecture right now of foundation.
okay, fine.
That's
We
the
are
time
at the
was
end. There is a last
8:30.
paragraph that remains, so we'll conclude that.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So just listen up it, and then we'll end it.
What a silly thing love is, said the student as he walked away. It is not half as useful as logic, for it does not prove anything, and it is always telling one of things that are not going to happen, and making one believe things that are not true. In fact, it is quite unpractical, and, as in this age to be, practical is everything. I shall go back to philosophy and study metaphysics. So he went to his room and pulled out a great dusty book and began to read.
Okay. So
End. The
this was the
Nightingale and the
conclusion.
Rose.
How does the boy conclude the story? What is understanding of the boy for that particular love? Does he understand the love of the nightingale? No. Does he understand the behavior of that girl? No. What he thinks is that there is nothing called as a love. Logic is always useful and not the love is useful, and it is unpractical to have love. And therefore, in this world, you must be practical. Love is unpractical in this world, and therefore there is nothing love. That is what a cynicism that is called as. Okay, that nothing happens without anybody's self or self-interest. And he says that there is nothing called as love, and therefore he concludes that he should study metaphysics and philosophy only, and he cannot love. That is how he ends the poem. The story is ended. Remember only the thing that he